It's good. Everyone's good.
Good to hear. Let me just allow a few minutes. Right. Okay, perfect. Today's call, I want to focus on a very important topic. While I get something prepared for you guys, I'll let Nyla take over, cover a few key points for the things that people are struggling with this week. So I'll let Nyla do that first.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. I know I haven't been here for a couple of group calls, but today I wanted to touch up on the cold callers and outsourcing them and some doubts people may have on, trusting getting their results. And what I want to say is trusting the cold callers is a byproduct of trusting us. You trust us in this program to get you where you want to be. So trust us that we're going to get a team that is adequate enough, that is performing well enough. Me, Azam, and Samira have vetted the cold callers, and when they weren't working, we made sure, okay, we're getting new ones in, and they're actually performing very well, alhamdulillah. And they're having conversations, qualified conversations on your behalf, like an extension of your team. They're working for you and with you. It's not like they separate to you. They have the same agenda as you. They want you to be successful because that means they're successful too. And another thing I wanted to touch upon is about how nobody has been filling in the Friday check-in forms. So if nobody fills in the forms, then we don't know how to help you. We don't know what is lacking and what feedback you want to give. Even if you don't have anything positive to say and you have some, criticisms that you want to get, you want us to improve on, and maybe you don't like the Saturday group calls and you have other suggestions, or maybe you don't like something and you want it to be fixed, write that in the form as well, because then we can kind of target what's wrong.
Yeah. And even if you aren't doing the outbound yourself currently, just fill out how many outbounds the cold calling team has done for you. So we just keep track on what is going on and what the key bottleneck is, because the whole point of the Friday check-ins is that we know what is happening currently. And then according to whatever's happening currently, we can then give you the advice for the upcoming week. But what I wanted to talk about was three very important topics today. So let me share my screen, and we'll just use the usual structure of just drop a one in the chat if you're with me. Two, if something isn't making sense, then of course I can repeat the point and then inshallah make sure that it definitely fully makes sense. Now, just going to share that now. Hopefully everyone can see this. Just testing out one in the chat. If you can see it clearly, I will zoom in further. Okay, I see one in the chat. Everyone, I'm sure, can see this. But yeah, a couple of points that I did want to touch upon today are focus on 3 iterations, the scientific method. Number 3 is accept anxiety and act despite that. And lastly, the task for everyone on the call. Focusing on 3 iterations. Now, this is a topic that I'll touch upon multiple times during this call, which is this business is highly dependent on how well you can strategize. Things will break. Things will not work the first time. Things will not work the second time. They might work the third time, but will definitely work the fourth time if you have the right help and if you are the right person and have come up with the right strategy. And what I mean by that is, and I'll give you a life example. I'm so glad I'm doing this business all over again in front of you guys in the accounting niche, so I can give you live examples on how I'm doing it all over again. So last month, we were getting a profitable funnel through the Firm Flow AI, the agency that I've recently started. And all of a sudden, it just broke and it just stopped working. I had about 8 calls where I had no closes. And I mentioned this a few group calls ago as well, that when this did happen, it really does impact you mentally. Like it's been a long time I've been taking these sales calls, and getting 8 calls back to back and 0 calls, is it does something to your confidence, especially me taking, upwards of 1,000+ calls and getting hundreds of closes. It does something to you. Reason why I'm telling you this is, okay, iteration number 1 that we had was successful, but then it broke for some reason. And what we then did was try figuring out what could it be. So that brings me on to my next point of the scientific method. The scientific method is just a very clever way of fixing any problem. And I was taught this by one of my early mentors. Now, am I using this the proper way, or how it's done in actual labs, or the scientific experiments that people do? Probably not. But the way I've used it has been really, really helpful for me. So the scientific method just basically says you clearly write down on a piece of paper what the problem is. Clearly define the problem. So the clearer the problem is, the more, you sometimes don't even need to come up with solutions. If you define the problem very clearly, you'll know the answer straight away. But define the problem. This is the problem. For example, for you right now, it might be people are not showing up. But for me, it was cost per book call has significantly risen, and I'm not getting consistent book calls. Clear problem. Clear goal. I would like to get a cost per book call of at least 200 to 300 USD. I can accept that because then I'm charging 6,000 upfront. I have enough experience to do that. So goal, cost per book call of 200 to 300. Issues clearly defined. Now I'm going to come up with hypotheses, potential plans that I'm going to use to solve that problem and get to the goal. Clearly defined goal. So hypothesis number 1 is maybe try out different creatives. Did that, did not work again. Another fail. Iteration number 2 failed. Number 2 is capture their name, number, email, and then also give them an option to book. Meaning the funnel that was working and I was basically getting consistent calls from was add directly to just book a call. No taking their information, no taking anything else. But what then I thought was, okay, if people aren't directly booking calls, why not just do a lead gen funnel, as in basically lead form, where they put their name, phone number, email. Then after they do that, it gives them the option to then book a call like it was previously. And then guess what? That started to work. So now I'm not only getting a cost per book call of 150, I'm also getting every single person that basically fills in their form, leaves their details, so then I can retarget them through emails by calling them, and basically the funnel is twice as likely to convert than it was before. So that problem indirectly allowed me to improve the funnel. So iteration number 3 actually worked. So that's what you have to look at your business as. Define the problem clearly, have a clear end goal. What is it that I desire? For you, it might be, I want a show up rate of at least 70%. Here's what I think I should do. Option number 1, maybe send them more reminders. Option number 2 is create a lead magnet, which I'll get on to explain what that is. Now, so far, what I've spoken about, did that make sense, guys? Drop a 1 in the chat if it did. 2 if it didn't, so I can repeat the point again. So I see only 1 person. Okay, I see more ones. Come on, I just want to make sure everyone on the call understands it. Okay, this is mostly everyone. Just gonna wait for a few more because I know there's more people on the call. I just need to confirm everyone definitely understands this. Just drop a 2 if you don't. I can repeat the point. Okay, cool. So we've covered focus on 3 iterations. Just accept that it's going to be iterations that you're going to have to test. And then apply the scientific method. Define the problem, clear end goal, potential hypotheses on how you're going to solve the problem and get to your end goal. It could be literally anything in life. But yeah, so now 3rd point is accept anxiety and act despite that. This is something that, it comes as a shock to a lot of people. They think you're going to start this business, You're going to get the first iteration, first thing's going to work. You're going to make millions, happy days, your life's changed, never have to do a 9 to 5 again. You know, I know, life doesn't work that way. There will always be problems that you'll have to solve. But one thing I can guarantee is 3 iterations, the 3 iteration rule with anything. Third iteration, if you're clever and if you come up with a proper hypothesis and you actually do it for long enough, it will get you to the right answer. But most people, the anxiety, the overthinking, that stops them from even doing the second iteration. Just give up on the first iteration. Oh, it didn't work. Like that's why people have such difficulty actually getting to 6 figures with this sort of business. It's very simple, but it's not easy because you have to be someone that can hold their anxiety, hold themselves, and continue doing it, continue testing without applying any sort of emotions, and finally get to the right answer by the third iteration. The answer isn't also doing more of iteration number one, because that's what a lot of people do. They just keep doing what's not working. That's not the right answer. You give it maybe 2 weeks of testing, not just time frame, more kind of a data set, KPI, meaning if it's either outbounds or maybe with these cold callers, the KPI with them is about 30 to 50 pound cost per book call. If you spend about 60, 70 pounds and you haven't booked any calls, then you hit the KPI. That's a big enough data set, and now you can go into iteration number 2 and maybe try and solve the problem. Now, what I do want to clarify is there is a big difference between cost per book call and cost per show. Now, cost per show can be 1.5 times the cost per book call, meaning cost per show might be 70, 80 pounds, right? Because cost per book call is basically just seeing how much does it take to actually book one call. But the different metric would be how much does it take for us to book the call, and then it shows up as well. So those are 2 different things, right? So don't be upset that if we booked in a call and they didn't show up, because that's expected. 50% of my calls don't show up, but I don't care. Okay, fair enough, don't show up. All I care about is, did I spend 1,000? Did I make at least worst case 3,000 back? That's all I care about. But anyway, acting despite of anxiety. Lastly, this is a task for everyone. Everyone on this call, whether you're doing the outbound yourself or you're using the cold callers, you need to make sure your calls actually show up. Our show up rates increase. Now, the best way to do that, and this is something I'm currently testing, like as we speak over the next few weeks, is again, whatever I'm doing for you guys, I'm testing out myself as well, then giving it to you to make sure you don't waste your time or effort or money. So what we're kind of coming up with is a lead magnet. Now, lead magnet is something that attracts your customer or ideal customer into basically filling in their name, email, and then they go through the value that you provided on a PDF or a little video, whatever the case is, and then in exchange for their contact details, and then that allows them to know, like, and trust you to then be at a much higher likelihood to then pay you money and buy from you. But in this case, the way we're using lead magnets are, once these guys book in calls with you, because it's cold, they don't know who you are. They're like, oh, who is this? I like the promise, I like the guarantee, but what is this all about? So their intent level is kind of like a 5 out of 10. But for us to get it to at least, let's say, a 7 or 8 out of 10, we need to give them a bit of value, a bit of a reason. Because people do only things for only one reason, which is for themselves and their own self-interest. But there's nothing bad, but it's the reality. So you need to give them a reason with the lead magnet to then know, like, and trust you, to then actually show up on the call, and then you can use the sales process. So we're currently working on a lead magnet, and I'll give that to you, the one that I've tested out. But what I would like everyone on this call to do is learn this skill, right? We're going to test out, and I'm going to give you guys this challenge. Let's actually use the scientific method. If the problem is lack of show-ups, if the show-up rate isn't good, and our goal is at least a 70 to 80% show-up rate, the first hypothesis that you and I are coming up with is we're going to give them lead magnets, something of value. So, for example, your niche is realtors. What you're going to do is go on ChatGPT, basically copy-paste your guarantee. You know the thing that on week 2 there was a document and you filled out your own information, you came with your fancy name, all that stuff. Put down there, and then ask it the question, hey, this is my guarantee. I work with realtors. The issue is that I am not getting a lot of people to show up after I cold call them and set them for appointments. My goal is to get at least a 70 to 80% show up rate. What can you design me a lead magnet that I can send to them after booking a call so they actually show up? If you do that, let's see what you guys come up with. I'll of course give you the one that I've tested out and it actually works, but I want every single person on this call to do it. I want everyone to do it because it will only help you. This is just, obviously I can't be here with you over the next 10 years. At some point, I will need to teach you the basics and how to actually operate. And then if you can learn how to operate well, then you can run this business for as long as you want and not have to rely on me. So it's just a little light exercise that I want you to do. Paste your guarantee, say problem, lack of show-ups, goal, 70-80%. Give it the question, can you design a simple, clear lead magnet for me in PDF form and send it to me? And let's see what you guys come up with. Did that make sense, guys? Drop a one in the chat if it did. Did the task make sense, what I just said? Okay, no problem. It didn't make sense to Noreen. I'll repeat it back. But I think everyone else didn't make sense. So I'll just write this down here. What you need to tell ChatGPT. Problem. Or bad. Once I set appointments through goal 70 to 80% show up rates. Can you design a simple, highly attractive PDF to send the review response? Simple. This is what you have to do. And then show me what ChatGPT comes with. Make sure that it's something that people would actually read. It's valuable to them. So the best way to come up with a lead form is it's simple. It solves one problem out of basically 5 different steps you have to go through to solve a problem. So for example, to get a realtor, highly qualified leads that actually go ahead and close with them, the lead would need to be someone who's interested in selling their house and they actually respond and they actually show up to the appointments. So solve either one of these problems really well, not the whole thing. Don't give them the whole bridge, but just one of the problems. So like, this person actually knows what they're saying. So then that intrigues them and it gives them the confidence that, okay, if they can solve problem 1, then surely they should be able to solve problem 2, 3, and actually get me to the goal. That's what I'm trying to say. Did that make sense, Noreen? Just waiting on you, Noreen. Okay, perfect. So yeah, this is a task for you guys. Write down your guarantee, then write the problem, go design a simple PDF, lead magnet, send it over to me. Let's see who comes up with the best one. Who knows, I might even experiment with that. But I have my own that I'm experimenting with. But I'm looking forward to seeing it from all of you. But I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully, these key points were valuable for you guys. Do let me know if you need one-on-ones with myself, Nyla, help that you need. With Samira, she's always there as well for one-on-ones if you need it for anything whatsoever. But that's pretty much it from me today. Inshallah, I will see all of you next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.